Hey everybody, McLean from Liaison Marketing here. I wanted to dedicate this particular video or episode to browse nodes, which obviously I think most people that have been in the Amazon space for a while have heard that term before. They, for the most part, know what it means. For the layman, it essentially is a funnel from which you go from your category, your main category, down to your subcategory where they catalog you on Amazon. And it doesn't really seem like it would be a super important thing to focus on when there are such hot topics like search, find, buy methods and ManyChats and PPC and all of these huge topics that are clearly relevant to your success in Amazon. But when it comes to the inner workings of your listing and just kind of like the logistics of how the engine of your listing really works, particularly your Seller Central, how that's filled out, understanding again how category nodes and refinement funnels work, I think there tends to be a lot of discrepancy in understanding and implementing those particular topics. And I think they're really important with regards to how your listing and your products are going to work. Sorry, told right there. It's been a late day. But I think it's important, and it's definitely one of the main questions that a lot of my clients ask, like specifically, what is a category node exactly, or browse node? What does it do? How important is it? And what is the proper way to implement that for my own listing? And it's not exactly the basis of it is fairly easy, but it is convoluted in terms of what browse node should I be in, and is it more effective to be in one or the other? And those are very valid questions to ask. And there are a lot of answers to that. And they're not always right. A lot of it's about strategy. So I kind of wanted to dedicate this time to really go over understanding what your categories or browse node is. Sorry, the terms are kind of changed interchangeably. But being able to find it, being able to understand it, being able to understand that it really does matter where Amazon houses you. So I'm going to actually share my screen now so that I can kind of go over some of the key points. So this particular subject, I have my Seller Central open. This particular subject can be a little bit more daunting and harder to answer for products that don't have one basic function, right? So like if you take a kitchen knife, it really only has one function, and it's pretty obvious where you're going to be cataloged or where your browse node is going to be. It's going to be under professional knives or kitchen knives or chef knives or whatever that subcategory tends to be. But when you have a product in which it doesn't do just one particular thing, and it can be categorized under multiple categories, then it becomes kind of a game of strategy. And where do I want to be found? Who do I want to be competing against? And what is the best way to have people find me? So one of the best examples I use, and I'm not going to use this for when we talk about the product classifier tool, because I want to show you a more specific example, but I'm just going to go into Amazon. And one of my favorite examples I use, and if you've seen any of my videos in the past, you almost definitely have seen me use this example because I think it's such a good one. So something that's becoming more popular now are baby pop-up tents. Okay, and if you don't know what that is or means, I'm about to show you. So prepare to have your mind blown, because babies now have their own shelter, which is pretty awesome. So anyway, essentially they're pretty self-explanatory. They're pop-up tents that allow shelter for babies. They can be used in the backyard, for beaches, for picnics, for sleeping in, a lot of different ways they can be used. The problem with this product is because it's so diverse, it actually can be found in 3 main categories. And you can actually see those in the departments in the refinement funnel over here. So the main departments these can be found in is toys and games, baby products, and outdoor recreation. And it's actually really important that you understand which category node you're in, or you make a decision if you're selling a product like this where you want to be found. Because if you are in sports and outdoors recreation, right? If that's the funnel that you end up in, the last thing you want to do, I shouldn't say the last thing. What I should say is where you want to emphasize your keywords and the short tail, long tail keywords that you go after should be based on sports and outdoors type keywords. Okay. So if you're a product like, let's find one that is in sports and outdoors. Okay. So this guy's in sports and outdoors. Let's click on their listing. All right, and just a little trick, I've shown it to people before, but if you ever don't know what your competitors are in, or if you want to know your specific category node, you can actually delete your canonical URL, which is at the top up here. If you just delete that part, it's going to auto-populate your canonical, or sorry, your category node right here. So as you can see, we're in sports, camping, hiking, tent shelters, and then sun shelters, okay? So I'm gonna click on sun shelters. Now this is gonna take me to the subcategory that all the competition is for this product. So if this was your product and you wanted to know who you were competing against, you click on there. And obviously this does show that it's a lot of the same product. However, is it for babies? Some of it is, some of it isn't. A really, really good way mathematically to establish if you're in a correct category node is when you click on the subcategory that you're in, like I showed you. If you click on the very end of your browse node and you click on that, if you count through the first page's listings, right? And you find that there are over 50% of products just like yours, then you're probably in a good category when you talk about mathematically and your ability to be found and the chances of people buying your product. Because that means that you have more of a chance of people coming to sun shelters and actually buying a baby sun shelter. Obviously, a lot of these are for adults. So again, like all you would have to do mathematically is literally count through the first page, see how many are babies, do the math, what percentage is it? If it's less than 50%, I personally would recommend going into another category. Now there's one caveat to that. If you're going to do that, a flip strategy might be to stay in something like this so you aren't competing with the exact same products that you normally have. Okay, so like if this is your product and you're selling it in sports and outdoors and you find that most of your competitors are in baby, then it might be safe to say, well, hey, the competition is lower in this category. I'm going to focus on outdoorsy type keywords that talk about beach and sun and UV ray and all that stuff. And my keywords will convert better, will rank better in the subcategory than if I go into baby, which should be focused on nursery, sleeping, napping, safety, stuff like that. Now, to be clear, it doesn't mean that words can't go across subcategories. Of course, the word baby or sun shelter and stuff like that, they can be used throughout toys and games, baby, and sports and outdoors. The point is that you need to make the decision, where do you want to be placed? How saturated do you want the competition to be? And what keywords are you going to utilize for your listing so that you can be found better? And as a general rule, based on your main category, you're going to want your keywords to kind of be along those same lines. Okay, so that's an example of how to decide on what category node you want to be in. Now, to be clear, it's not always as easy as just changing it around. Sometimes Amazon won't let you because they've decided that you should be in one particular category. I've even seen people change their category node and then have Amazon change it again. So I'm not trying to insinuate that it's easy as pie to just change it around, but I definitely would try if you feel like you're not in a very good space or you're not giving your listing the best chance it can be. So I'm going to flip this around and go into Seller Central because I think understanding product classifier tool is really important to understanding how keywords work and how, based on how you put in your product, the recommended category node actually changes that Amazon provides. And that's really important to know because that means that Amazon is registering these descriptive words as keywords. They know that if you put a string of words together in a specific way, they're going to recommend a list of categories that you can be in, or sorry, they're going to recommend a list of browse nodes you can be in from most important to least, not important, but least direct, I guess you could say. So for this example, I'm going to use this awesome drink tumbler that I use all the time. I actually never call it a drink tumbler. I call it a water bottle. But I use it for everything. I use it for coffee, tea, when I work out, water. It is a double-walled construction, and it's insulated, and it's made of stainless steel, which are like really big, hot selling points for water bottles and tumblers these days. So in case you didn't know this, to figure out how you should classify your product, we're going to go to product classifier tool in your Seller Central, classify your product. If you want to watch the video, it's helpful, but you can just watch mine and it's just as helpful. Sorry, I'm really humble if you can tell. Push the product classifier tool. Now, here, what most people do is they put in the very specific thing that they're gonna sell, okay? So I just thought I would mess around with this and see what would happen based on how I put in the word tumbler, okay? So if I put in, let's say I just put in tumbler, okay? So when I put in tumbler, Amazon has registered this word as important and relevant for 15 categories or subcategories. Some of them are the same, but these are the browse nodes below them, okay? So you have travel tumblers, then we go down to tumblers and water glasses, which are industrial and scientific. Then you could be in home and kitchen with water glasses. Suddenly you're in wine glasses. And then you can go all the way down to thermoses, okay? So obviously you have a lot of options to decide which category node you're in. And none of them are wrong except maybe the wine glass one, unless you're a badass like me when I actually take wine to the gym or to my kids' soccer practice. So if you use your tumbler for wine, I am not judging you. But let's pretend like most people aren't raging alcoholics. So you're probably going to try to figure out which one works for you. Now, then the question becomes, okay, so which one do I choose? There's all these options. They all seem to work. Which one makes the most sense? Well, one thing I would suggest to you is testing out different ways to describe a tumbler, because it will actually really help narrow down what your product should be under. So let's say I want to call it a drink tumbler, okay? Suddenly my results have gone down a little bit. It's not going to go down a ton, but all of a sudden you see that travel mugs and tumblers, as well as tumblers and water glasses, those have switched. So if I'm not paying attention and I just assume it's going to be the first one, all of a sudden I've missed the travel mugs and tumblers. And maybe that's what I want. I don't know. Maybe that's the best option. Or maybe I want it under coffee mugs. And interestingly enough, thermoses is gone. So because I haven't established that it's insulated or that it's double walled or anything like that, now we don't even have the option for thermoses. So now I'm going to go into coffee tumbler. So see how I switched it from drink tumbler to coffee tumbler. Okay, so now we're back to travel mugs as the first option. And as you go down, then it goes into tumbler and water glasses, which is pretty consistent. Now we are seeing thermoses. The reason we're seeing thermoses is because Amazon knows that coffee tumbler, a lot of people buy thermoses for their coffee, which means coffee is very relevant to this particular browse node, okay? And it's just in a matter of changing just one descriptive point. We're still using the word Tumblr through all of this. We're just changing the description of the Tumblr. And by doing that, Amazon's category nodes switch. And it's really important that people are focused on this stuff, because if you're not, you could put yourself in a category node you don't want to be. So now I'm going to go to stainless steel tumbler. Again, another adjective to describe the tumbler. And this is going to be very similar to the what did I say? The coffee mug, sorry. It's going to be similar to the coffee mugs. And again, for us alcoholics, it's the wine glasses. Ironically, thermoses is not in there, which is pretty interesting, actually. And let's try going to double wall this time. So again, I'm just kind of plugging in really popular keyword phrases that people are using to describe tumblers or water bottles. So that's not even registering. Let's go to double wall tumblers. Nope, it's not registering either. So let's say that I just don't want to do tumblers as like my title, or I don't want it to call it that, at least not in the title. So let's check out water bottles. I'm going to go to water bottle. And now we're in completely different categories. Now, and that makes sense. I mean, obviously for water bottles, most people use them for sports and outdoor activity. So again, we have sports and outdoors here, same product, but in a different category, home and kitchen. And then we actually have thermoses below that. So I think this is a good representation of why it's really important that you're paying attention to your browse nodes. Because if you aren't, and you are in the wrong category, or you're not in a very popular category, or your keywords don't fit your category, it's really going to have an impact on your sales. And that's really important to take into account. So if you have any questions regarding category nodes, how to figure out your keywords, if they're in the right placement for your category node, if you want to know how to change it, all that stuff, feel free to contact us. The website is liaison.marketing, liaison.marketing. Or you can email me, mw@liaison.marketing. And hopefully this video was helpful for you. Again, I can't reiterate enough how important I think it is that people are paying attention to this. And that's all I got. Thanks.